Hey everyone, it's Josein and it's lore time. This is a special video for the week of Beast Gohan. And it's special because we have a special guest here today that will hopefully enlighten us to exactly what Beast Gohan is and some insight into the forms and inspiration of the character in his form. Please welcome Jordan the Dragon Lee.
Hey, what's up, guys? I am Jordan the Dragon Lee. I have my own YouTube channel where I discuss Dragon Ball lore. I love to talk about the connections between martial arts lore and Journey to the West lore in connection to Dragon Ball. So if you want to go check out my channel, that would be awesome. Really happy to be here.
Hi, awesome. Yeah, thank you, dude. I appreciate it. I've seen loads of your videos, and I just appreciate your insight and willing to do this for us.
Awesome.
I guess we'll just get right into it, really.
Yeah. Let's go.
Ultimate and Beast are kind of connected in a way. What is the ultimate form?
Well, the ultimate form takes advantage of Gohan's specific awakenings as a character. And what I mean by that is Super Saiyan, for example, is considered an awakening, but it's Goku's awakening. It's something that they've always focused on for Goku's character specifically. Not that other characters don't have it, but it's a Saiyan-centric form of what the series calls an awakening. And Gohan has always had his own version of an awakening, and it's separated from Super Saiyan, and that's the reason that he could implement it in Super Saiyan 1 during the Cell Saga to achieve Super Saiyan 2, because Gohan is capable of a form of awakening, you could call it a rage boost if you want, that Goku and everyone else is not. Right. So what the ultimate state is it takes advantage of Gohan's ability to have awakenings to make him stronger through rage, but also it unlocks his potential literally. So when people hear, that Gohan had his potential unlocked in the ultimate state, they always scale him to a finite degree.
Right.
Like you'll notice that they're he's just as strong as he was in the Buu Saga. That's his specific scaling at the time, which is true and it does make sense. But when the old Kai unlocked Gohan's potential, that term should be taken literally, because if you read what the old Kai actually says, he doesn't say, "Oh, I brought your potential to its max." He says that I can bring you beyond the normal limits of your power, which means above what your normal latent potential is.
So
now,
it's actually amplifying his hidden potential.
That's right. He can actually go further than he ever could have before. The ultimate state is not just Gohan's latent potential unlocked. It is, but it's not in the sense that he can actually go beyond his latent potential. So in that sense, the ultimate state it does make sense that it is a finite amount of power during the Buu Saga, because it is dictated by how much potential Gohan has without the limit-breaking effect of his awakenings. There's a huge difference between Gohan's awakenings that he has, where he just gets a small boost of power, compared to the awakenings he has when he transforms. So for example, during the events on Namek, Gohan continuously gets stronger multiple times. He exceeds our expectations multiple times and continues to get stronger. Now, one really interesting thing to note is that despite the fact that Gohan had his potential unlocked on Namek, he did experience a rage boost afterwards and was more powerful with that awakening than he was by just having his potential unlocked. And that is there to tell us narratively, even if Gohan has his potential unlocked, once he experiences an awakening, he can break the limits of his previous power and become even more powerful. Now, his potential at that time was, of course, dictated by the fact that he was a child.
Right.
But now he's an adult, and he's reached essentially his peak, and that's something that they're playing on for Ultimate Gohan, is the fact that Gohan is essentially at his peak as a fighter whenever he attains the ultimate state. Now, something very important to notice that a lot of people overlook is the association between those awakenings and Gohan's ultimate state. And what I mean by that is, in the actual film, Gohan doesn't get his ultimate state until he's facing Gamma 1 and experiences an awakening. And Piccolo even calls attention to this. He's like, hey, unless he can awaken his dormant power, we're not going to win this fight. And that was the entire reason that Piccolo kidnapped Pan, is so that Gohan could experience one of his classic personal awakenings in order to tap into his ultimate state. So the ultimate state is a power-up like Super Saiyan, but it doesn't work anything like Super Saiyan. It literally is dictated by a Gohan exclusive ability that he has always had to awaken all of his latent potential through these awakenings and rage boosts that he gets. But essentially what the old Kai did is he took Gohan's abilities to experience these awakenings. He made it to where when Gohan experiences these awakenings, it's pretty much the same thing as if he had been trained.
Right.
And that's the reason that when people complain about Gohan not training, it really doesn't make any sense. People really get like the purpose of Goku and Gohan's characters mixed up. Goku is supposed to be this low-level warrior who trains through all these masters, and as a result, surpasses all of these elite warriors and mutants and things that he would come into contact as a result. Gohan, the theme behind his character has always been that he has all the latent power he needs. He just needs to learn how to use it. They are very, very, very different characters in that sense. They're unique in their own way, and that is what they chose to play on here recently with Gohan, because that is essentially the basis of the themes of his characters in comparison to Goku. It's basically just Gohan experiencing the same awakenings he's had since he was a child, except now that the old Kai has unlocked his potential, when he experiences those awakenings, there is no limit to the amount of potential that he can tap into as long as he can experience one of these awakenings like he did in Super Saiyan 2. So one thing you'll notice in the Buu saga, prior to Gohan getting the ultimate state, Goku tells Gohan multiple times, if you can get angry like you did against Cell, you would be unstoppable. He tells him that in the Buu saga.
Right.
And it does kind of set it up. It sets it up and makes it seem like it's possible that he might get a Super Saiyan 2-esque transformation again in that arc, despite the fact that he never does, which is very interesting. Even though Gohan can use Super Saiyan 2, which we saw him do that during his fight in the tournament, Super Saiyan 2 is not the same Super Saiyan 2 that he had in the Cell saga. The Daizenshu actually blatantly points this out. It's essentially the same as the version that Goku and Vegeta have attained through training. It's not the same as what he attained through his awakenings as a child, which is why it's not as strong as it used to be. A lot of people don't understand this, but
that's
the
actually
Super Saiyan
really good to know. I feel like that's always been a constant struggling thing throughout the community when they've talked about Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan. So, I mean, the fact that those are basically two different forms, and it's just not clearly shoved into everyone's faces that didn't fully understand. But that's great to know.
Yeah, and it really feeds into what we're about to talk about, which is what Beast is.
Exactly. I do have one little small quick question before we talk about Ultimate to Beast. So after everything you just said about Ultimate, would you say that every character would have their own quote-unquote specific Ultimate state, or would it be similar to Gohan?
I'm not sure. I do think that Piccolo was a good example of, a Gohan-esque concept being implemented in other characters besides Gohan. Piccolo did experience it. He even says this in the film. He's like, it's like whenever you guys go Super Saiyan. It's like I experienced an awakening of sort. I think it is possible that, other characters can have a similar effect as Gohan, but it's not going to be the same as Gohan, and I'll tell you why. Because when Gohan has an awakening due to the fact that he's a mutant, that's the reason he can tap into so much latent power. That's the reason we see him.
He's an Earth.
He's that guy.
Yeah,
he's that guy.
Saying, yeah.
That's the reason we see him do what he does to Raditz. First time he ever has an awakening is because he specifically has all of this latent potential. Now, what I think they're hinting at and suggesting is that, and they did this in more than one way in the superhero film, because there's even that scene where Gohan points out that he found Super Saiyan ants, right? What I think they're getting at is they're trying to associate your fight or flight reflexes with your ability to tap into these transformations.
Right.
So Gohan, the first time he ever fights Raditz and does any damage to him, he's under the experience of his fight or flight reflexes. He saw that his father was in danger and he had an adrenaline boost. And that's consistently what causes transformations throughout the entire series. Like there's a connection between our fight and flight and our survival instincts and transformations in Dragon Ball that people ignore. They don't look at transformations as a result of that, but that is the result of literally every transformation in Dragon Ball. Even Ultra Instinct, although Ultra Instinct is about controlling the effect that our survival instincts and our fight or flight has on our body, because that's what martial arts is centered around. But every single transformation, when they talk about an awakening, they're talking about your fight or flight reflexes and your survival instincts and your heart like going crazy in a dangerous situation. So with that said, I do think it's possible that if the old Kai unlocked other people's potential and they had an awakening similar to Gohan, I think they could have something similar to Gohan where they might change. But I don't think it's going to be like Gohan where he mutates, because that is a Gohan exclusive thing.
Yeah.
Gohan Super Saiyan 2 is exclusive for that reason, because that's a Gohan exclusive mutation.
So would you say that like characters like Trunks, or I'm not really sure there's any other hybrid-esque characters in the show that I can think of at the top of my head, but I would assume Trunks can have a similar kind of awakening. I mean,
I would say it might even be possible that Trunks could have Beast. It's just, it's not going to be the same as, because Beast is just a mutation.
Right.
It's just a mutation. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I think that they would ever give Trunks Beast? No. I think that if they did like take a branch for Goten and Trunks, it would be Super Saiyan. They would just push the Super Saiyan transformation that much further. Not necessarily saying that they would get like Super Saiyan 5 or anything like that. But like during the Black Saga, Trunks pushes Super Saiyan 2 farther than Goku and Vegeta
pushed it up to that Super Saiyan 3 point, which was pretty interesting.
And I think that that's what they're going to do with Goten and Trunks moving forward. I also think that's what they're going to do with Broly, but I think Broly's going to have his more exclusive, cooler version of Super Saiyan that nobody else has. But I do think that they're, in terms of like how they're going to progress Goten and Trunks, and even if they unlocked Goten and Trunks' potential, I think that they would focus around the Super Saiyan branch. I don't think that they would ever focus on the ultimate type state that Gohan has.
It's Goten and Trunks as their characters. They want to be more flashy, just based on their personality. So
well, don't get me wrong. They were fanboying over the ultimate state, though. You got to remember.
Oh yeah.
They were fanboying. They were like, "Oh yeah, this is super cool." So I mean, I'm not saying that it's impossible for them to like take that branch. It's just based on what I've seen in the manga. It really does seem like they're focusing on Super Saiyan for Goten and Trunks, which makes sense because like, Goten and Trunks are inherently different than Gohan.
Yeah.
And Gohan is inherently different than Goten and Trunks. They got Super Saiyan at a very young age. Gohan had his awakenings, at a very young age. So they have like their own character themes. So I do think it's possible that they could get something like that, but I don't think that the series itself would ever do that, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes plenty of sense. Okay, we diverged enough right there. So, very great insights, though. I love hearing the insight from you. So now I want to get to the whole point of how does. So you already said Beast is a mutation of Ultimate.
Yeah.
And I swear I've seen on one of your posts where you say basically Beast is a Super Saiyan 2 transformation from.
Well, people get confused when I say that, though, because they think that I'm saying that it's Super Saiyan, and it's not.
No,
it's not Super Saiyan at all.
It's just used as an example.
It's the same mutation that caused Gohan's exclusive Super Saiyan 2 from the Cell Saga being implemented into the Ultimate State. Okay.
Same trigger.
And the reason he can do that is because the Ultimate State itself is fueled by his personal awakenings. Okay?
Right.
So when he has his personal awakening again while he's in the Ultimate State, that's what causes Beast. See what I'm saying?
Which is
like he's
why
having
it looks so similar in all of the paneling and all the animations. You look at the animation when he goes into Beast, it literally looks like the same screen break from when he first transformed in the Cell Saga.
That's right, because it's not a Super Saiyan transformation, and I'm so glad that he went out of his way to point that out in the last chapter of Dragon Ball Super, because I've seen so many people be like, no, it's not a Super Saiyan transformation. It's not at all. It's literally not. It's Gohan's own thing. Now, in terms of like what Beast is, that chapter does a really good job of explaining what Beast is. People just kind of ignore it and look over it because it's not like spelled out for them like, oh, it's literally a branch off Ultimate. They don't like literally say that. But if you listen to what's being said about Beast during that entire chapter, it essentially sums everything up for you. Because Goku says at the very beginning of the chapter, oh, there's all that latent potential you've been packing, right?
Yeah.
Now, if that's not a direct acknowledgement of the fact that it's connected to his potential unleashed form, I don't know what is. You know what I mean? That is so unbelievably blatant.
They might as well have underlined and bold italics it.
Exactly. Like, it's so unbelievably blatant. But essentially the idea is, and this is something I really liked about that chapter, is that Gohan does not have a limit to his power now in terms of his awakenings and the effect that they have on his chi, okay? Like, they've done all of this to essentially make it to where Gohan can can keep up with modern Dragon Ball scaling, and I'll get into that for a second. But essentially the idea is modern Dragon Ball scaling is not what old Dragon Ball scaling used to be. They have to be able to adapt to their opponent in real time, and so everything has been accelerated. Everything. That's why you'll notice that like when Goku and Vegeta are fighting Gas, they're all continuously getting stronger.
Constantly.
So that
their power levels are completely different from beginning, middle, and end.
Right, and that is how scaling is going to work in Dragon Ball from now on, which is why I think a lot of these scaling conversations that people have are so unbelievably silly, because it literally changes from month to month. Yeah. Like, you'll spend an entire month talking about, oh, who's strong, and then, like, literally the next month, they're like, oh, all of that is irrelevant now. You spent the entire month wasting your breath because they literally change it like the very next month. But the ultimate form, or the ultra forms, like Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, are both boundless forms, meaning there's no limit to the amount of chi they can attain if they can use their techniques correctly. Is they've essentially made Beast Gohan's version of that, because he's implementing his own way of tapping into more and more and more and more and more chi through his awakenings, his personal awakenings, and there is no limit to the amount of power that he can tap into if he can continuously take advantage of the effect that his awakenings have on him and how much they awaken the amount of chi that he can tap into. So essentially, like, they had to give Gohan something like this in order to keep up with modern Dragon Ball scaling, and they're going to do the same thing with Broly, mark my words.
Oh yeah. It's legendary Super Saiyan all over.
And that's what they're doing with everybody. They're trying to give everybody like their own ultra technique, essentially, to where everybody is boundless. They can continuously get stronger and they can continuously grow in battle. And that's essentially what Gohan Beast is for Gohan in terms of, how it's going to be implemented from a power scaling perspective. That's essentially what Gohan Beast is. Now, conceptually, Gohan Beast is essentially Gohan awakening his inner demons. And what I mean by that is, and this is the reason that Piccolo is a demon-themed character teaching Gohan, is that it's a thought in martial arts and in Chinese mythology that when you implement the violent part of who you are, that you are essentially implementing your inner demons. Bruce Lee talks about this in his books constantly, about how, we'll switch from a holy being to an unholy being. There's like a yin and yang in combat, and in Chinese lore, and even in Japanese mythology and Japanese lore, demons are associated with our fight or flight reflexes. Like, every single transformation plays on this concept, because this concept is a underlying concept and philosophy within martial arts itself. A lot of people don't understand this. They just look at transformations as like, I don't know, Pokemon-esque evolutions, which I guess they are. In a way. In a certain sense they are, but they're not implementing it in the same way. They're implementing it in a martial arts-esque way. They're essentially associating the effect of fight or flight in mid-combat with enlightenment and awakening and evolution. Everything all at once. So they're referencing like all of these like scientific and spiritual themes and everything like all at once with Gohan Beast and Super Saiyan, and that's why you'll notice that Gohan's moveset in Xenoverse, all of his moves are demon themed, and it's not just because
are they?
Yeah, and it's not just because he was taught by Piccolo. Piccolo is a literal representation of that half of martial arts ideology. That's the reason whenever Piccolo takes Gohan out into the wilderness, what does he say? He says, survive. That's it. That's all he tells him. Just survive. That is the aspect of martial arts that Piccolo represents, and Goku is the other half that Gohan needs to learn. That's another thing that people really overlook about Gohan Beast. It is the culmination of everything that not only Piccolo taught Gohan, but what Goku taught Gohan as well. So in the Cell Saga, Goku essentially helps Gohan stabilize himself in Super Saiyan. And he teaches Gohan that it's very, very important for him to maintain his nature and who he is as a person through Super Saiyan.
Right.
We have the drawbacks to that literally thrown in our face whenever Gohan becomes Super Saiyan 2 and he gives into his rage the exact opposite to what Goku did on Namek. That's the series basically pointing out to you that narratively, this is what the series looks down on. This behavior is what people get punished for in Dragon Ball, which is why Goku was successful on Namek, because he fought that effect that anger was having on his psychology. So the two scenes are meant to parallel each other in that way on purpose. Goku does a great job helping Gohan maintain his nature, and That's one half of what we are taught in martial arts. And one half of what Roshi taught Goku in the original Dragon Ball, actually, is to maintain a sense of purity through your martial arts, training. You're not supposed to be training for like any malicious reasons. You're supposed to be just training to get stronger, and you're not supposed to fall victim to your emotions and the effect that they have on your conscious thoughts and allow that to corrupt who you are as a martial artist. And that's what we saw Gohan go through. Now, Gohan, the reason he did not succeed in controlling himself is not because he failed his teachings when it came to what he learned under Goku. It's because he failed his teachings when it comes to what he learned under Piccolo. And that is what Dragon Ball Superhero is acknowledging. It's literally an acknowledgement of the problems that we saw Gohan experience in the Cell Saga. And a lot of people overlook this. But if you watch the Super anime, there is actually a build-up to this. Because right before the Tournament of Power, Piccolo and Gohan are training with each other. And Piccolo is like, the reason you always lose is because you lose yourself to your emotion. He straight up tells him that. He's like, you get overconfident, you get cocky, you get arrogant. And because of that, you're not fighting as a warrior. You're not fighting as an efficient warrior. You are fighting as a child who is upset about something. And so Dragon Ball Superhero is essentially just an acknowledgement of the conversation that Piccolo and Gohan had that day, which is the reason that when Gohan does go Beast, what move does he use? He uses the Makanko Sampo, which not only requires a crazy amount of energy concentration, but also a crazy amount of concentration in general to correctly hit your target, right?
Right.
So that's something else that people overlook about Gohan Beast, is that it's essentially Gohan mastering all of the lessons that Piccolo has been trying to teach him since he was a child. Yeah, he has conquered and controlled the demon and used it for what it is supposed to be used for. And I think that's super cool. There's a lot of cool things about the superhero film that I really appreciate, but as somebody who really appreciates the relationship between Gohan and Piccolo, just that by itself to me makes Beast super cool. Putting everything else to the side, just the idea that, Beast represents the culmination of everything that Piccolo has been trying to help Gohan do is amazing. In terms of like criticisms of Gohan Beast being sudden and I just don't relate, I guess, because as somebody who's like watched the series since I was a child, and one of the first things that I saw Gohan do was literally destroy Raditz for no reason. Like it's like obviously I have a greater understanding of what Gohan Beast is than the average Dragon Ball fan, because and this is something that I think a lot of fans do by mistake, and it's something that I always advocate against, and that is treating films and different sections of Dragon Ball as a separate piece of fiction. People will watch a film, particularly with Dragon Ball, and they will completely separate it from everything else that's been previously established, and then they'll judge the film based on just what's being shown. In Dragon Ball Superhero, that is particularly a mistake, because Dragon Ball Superhero is literally meant to be the culmination of everything that Piccolo and Gohan had been through before. So when you look at it that way, you're robbing yourself of the actual experience, because you're not considering everything else that builds into the plot and builds into the story and builds into what Gohan Beast and what Dragon Ball Superhero is. So I don't necessarily relate to the criticisms in that sense. I do kind of understand where people are coming from when they say that it looks similar to Super Saiyan 2 and all that good stuff, but again,
I feel like that like you explained, that's kind of part of it.
Exactly. It's being done on purpose. It's like, look, this is Gohan mastering himself. But yeah, I think it's awesome. Like, I don't know, ever since Gohan Beast has come out, I've seen a lot of criticism towards it. I think it's amazing. I think it's an awesome concept. I think it's very, very well implemented, very, very well done. And as a Gohan fan, I don't see how anybody can complain at this point about what they've done with Gohan. I really don't. Even when Gohan faced Goku in the last chapter, people have complained about Gohan not keeping up his training. He's keeping up his training now.
Yeah.
Not only is he keeping up his training, but he also has he has a healthy attitude when it comes to combat. He doesn't have an unhealthy attitude about combat anymore. He doesn't. It doesn't
confidence now in it.
Exactly. He was ready to go train with Goku. He was ready. He's like, yeah, let's go do it. That's very different than the Gohan that we had before, who was traumatized through all the experiences that he had been through as a child, and as a result had a huge hatred for even the idea of sports-based combat. Now Gohan has gained an appreciation for sports-based combat, and that's a really cool way to like end off his character in the in this current era, is having him become more like Goku in that sense. Now, don't get me wrong, I want Gohan to maintain his own uniqueness as a character. I do not want Gohan to become Goku 2.0. I've talked about this countless times. Prior to Beast, whenever everybody was like trying to make Gohan into Goku 2.0 all the time, it really got on my nerves, and I would talk about it all the time. So I do think that Gohan needs to maintain a degree of uniqueness. I don't think he needs to just become Goku 2.0, but I do think that it's really cool that the last chapter ended off with not only Gohan developing a healthy appreciation for combat in terms of doing it as a sport, but Broly did as well, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's a great culmination of the whole series as a whole, right up to that point.
It really is. Yeah.
Wow, just so much information all at one time. It's hard to take in, especially if for some viewers, I imagine like them listening to this and it just flipping their whole world. You know, like if you didn't fully understand how it worked before, it's like you just opened the door.
Yeah, I think people generally are like they don't. And don't get me wrong, I do think that Dragon Ball is meant to be taken as entertainment, but it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be taken as entertainment without context. And I think that's a lot of issue. I think that's a lot of the issue when it comes to people like generally not experiencing and enjoying Dragon Ball to its full extent, is that they don't treat it like a congruent universe. They treat it like separate stories, when that is not the case at all. Like on Namek, when Goku becomes Super Saiyan, if you have never read the original Dragon Ball, you don't understand that Goku, his struggle is literally meant to be a struggle against Roshi's teachings. Like he's literally struggling to not fail what he was taught as an earthling martial artist, due to the effect that anger was having on his personality. You know, there's just certain things that happened in the past that you need to know to enjoy the story to its fullest extent in the future. And I definitely advocate for like every Dragon Ball fan to look at it that way, because if you want to enjoy the series to its fullest extent, that's how you need to do it. Also, look into the roots of the series itself, and I'm not just talking about Journey to the West, even though I talk about that on my series all the time. Kung Fu in general has a huge the idea of what chi is. You know what I mean? Look into the actual roots of the series itself and what Toriyama is playing on, and you will have such a better like appreciation and understanding for the series. Like it'll make you love it that much more. And that's really kind of the purpose of my channel, and you know, my stance as a Dragon Ball fan is to enhance everybody else's experience, because ever since Dragon Ball Super came back, it's been very controversial. There are definitely criticisms that I have for the series, but as a whole, the things that I do really enjoy about it, I really enjoy about it. And I see a lot of people who don't get to experience it the same way I do, because they don't see things the same way I do. So that's kind of like, you know, my goal. I want people to be able to see Dragon Ball the way I do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I exactly understand, and that's part of my reasoning as to why I wanted to get a hold of you and make this a video and just get it out there for more people to know and understand. You know, you're only like, most fans, let's be real, they're probably only enjoying like a quarter of like what's really behind the whole
the actual content. Yeah. They really are. Yeah.
But all right, I think that's about it for Beast in general. I mean, we could probably go for hours on Dragon Ball in general, but
yeah.
As far as Beast goes, I think that covers it. Like,
yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate all your insights and everything. Where can people find your content? Like, what's your hashtag for your account and so forth?
Okay, so my hashtag on Twitter is Jordan L. Durham. It's actually my full name. And then on YouTube, you can just find me under Jordan the Dragon Lee. I also write stories, like fan fiction-esque stories for Paul Rising Fist. If you want to go check out his channel, you just type in Rising Fist on YouTube. I also collab with Geekdom 101 weekly. We do a weekly show where we look over the manga called The Mongolorian. I'm all over the internet, but like, you know, just like Jordan the Dragon Lee, Jordan Lee Durham on Twitter. And then, like I said, I'll be on Geekdom's channel almost every week, and you can find a lot of the stories that I write and the things that I participate in on that front on Rising Fist channel. And another cool thing, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm getting ready, and I haven't talked about this. This is actually kind of an announcement. I'm working on a manga. I'm already well known for working on manga because I did a manga called Dragon Ball Infinity that blew up on YouTube whenever Super first came around. But I'm working on a manga currently that's like an unofficial sequel to Cashman, and it's like a homage to Toriyama. It's like a love letter to Toriyama. There's gonna be like so much like cool Toriyama stuff in it. I'm working with this guy named Griffin Station, who has a ridiculously similar art style to Toriyama himself. And when I say that, don't take that lightly, because just because people say they draw like Toriyama doesn't mean they do. Yeah, so definitely check that out. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll be getting updates on that too. That's going to be super cool. I'm really looking forward to putting that out. But yeah, definitely go follow my social media. You'll see all kinds of cool stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that now. I feel like everyone needs to start looking into all of Toriyama's old works now, because oh boy. Oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be exciting. I look forward to that. All right, dude. Well, I appreciate you popping in the video today, especially since I'm just kind of like a low-level YouTuber.
No problem, man.
But anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. Make sure to go give Jordan a follow and a subscribe. And have a good day and a good night.